Hi, I'm Madeline. At 63, I thought I'd seen it all. Raised two children, survived a divorce, built a successful interior design business. That's why I decided to treat my son, David, and his wife, Vanessa, to a 2-week trip through Italy. Florence, Rome, Venice, all the places I dreamed of visiting. Mom, this is incredible, David said as we stood on our hotel balcony overlooking the Arno River in Florence. I can't believe you did this for us. Well, you two have been working so hard, I replied, watching Vanessa take selfies with the Ponte Vecchio in the background. And truthfully, I didn't want to travel alone. Smart move, Vanessa chimed in without looking up from her phone. Plus, David speaks enough Italian to get us around. David placed his hand on my shoulder. Remember when Dad promised to take you to Italy for your 30th anniversary? Ancient history, I said, waving away the memory. Life's too short to wait for promises that never materialize. To new memories, David raised his Prosecco glass. And to the most generous mother-in-law in the world. Vanessa joined our toast. Absolutely. Not everyone has a mother-in-law with such resources. Something in her tone made me glance at her, but I dismissed the thought. The first week seemed magical, but I noticed small things. Hushed conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. David constantly checking their bank app. Vanessa's forced enthusiasm whenever I suggested treating them to another excursion. Vanessa, what do you think about visiting the Uffizi tomorrow? I asked over dinner our 7th night. Whatever you want, Madeline, she replied, exchanging a quick glance with David. It's your trip. It's our trip, I corrected. I want everyone to enjoy it. David cleared his throat. Actually, Mom, Vanessa and I were thinking we might do something on our own tomorrow. A little romantic time? Of course, I said. I'm perfectly capable of entertaining myself. Vanessa interrupted. We just feel bad that you're always paying for everything. That's what I wanted to do, I replied, confused. This trip is my gift to both of you, and we appreciate it so much, David said quickly. Right, honey? So much, Vanessa echoed, her smile not reaching her eyes. That night, I received a text from an unknown number. Leave quietly, don't trust your son or his wife. They're planning to access your accounts. Call me. Marcus, Eleanor's son. Eleanor had been my best friend for 40 years before passing away last year. Her son Marcus was an FBI financial crimes specialist. The next morning at breakfast, I told David and Vanessa I wasn't feeling well. Do you need us to stay with you? David asked, though I noticed he was already dressed for going out. No, I insisted. You two enjoy your day. The moment they left, I called Marcus. Madeline, thank God you called. His voice came through urgently. Mom made me promise to look out for you. I've been monitoring your accounts as a favor. Marcus, what exactly is happening? There have been multiple attempts to access your investment accounts from Italian IP addresses, and I've seen troubling transfers from your checking account to David and Vanessa's joint account over the past 3 months. That can't be right, I said, my voice shaking. Madeline, they've taken over $200,000 already, and based on their recent activities, I believe they're preparing to clean you out completely. The trip to Italy? It's a distraction while they finalize everything. How could they do this? I've sent you an encrypted email with all the evidence, Marcus said. And Madeline, don't confront them yet. We need to be smart about this. I opened his email. What I saw shattered my heart into a million pieces. Marcus's email contained bank statements and screenshots of conversations. They had been systematically draining my accounts. Small amounts at first, then larger sums. The Italy trip wasn't my idea. They had planted the suggestion, knowing I'd be far from my financial advisors. I called Patricia, an attorney who specialized in financial fraud. Maddie, are you certain? She asked. This is your son we're talking about? The evidence is overwhelming, I replied. They've been planning this for over a year. Have you noticed anything else suspicious? David convinced me to change financial advisors 6 months ago. I've never met the new one in person. All communication has been through email, which David helps me with because I'm not good with technology. Patricia's voice sharpened. Classic red flag. What about your will or power of attorney? David and Vanessa took me to update both after my heart scare, I admitted. Listen carefully. Don't confront them yet. We need to secure your assets first. After hanging up, I received a text from David. How are you feeling, Mom? Don't wait up for dinner. In the hotel's business center, I found another American tourist, a silver-haired woman named Judith. You look like you've seen a ghost, she commented. Family troubles, I managed. I'm a retired therapist. Sometimes talking to a stranger is easier. I broke down. My son and his wife are stealing from me. Judith didn't look shocked. My sister went through something similar with her daughter. What did she do? She fought back, documented everything, pressed charges, and eventually got most of her money back. It was hard, cutting ties with her own child, but necessary. That afternoon, I received a call from Roger, my former banker. Madeline, this is worse than we thought, Roger said. There's a form with your signature authorizing transfer of your entire investment portfolio to a new account in the Cayman Islands. The transfer is scheduled for tomorrow. But I never signed anything like that. The signature looks authentic, but we're flagging it as potentially fraudulent. By evening, I'd secured my finances. When David and Vanessa returned with shopping bags, I had to act normal. Mom, you're up, David exclaimed. Feeling better? Much better, I lied. How was your day? Vanessa held up bags. Amazing. Look at this leather jacket David bought me. I noticed the designer label, wondering if my money paid for it. It's beautiful, I managed. Listen, I've been thinking. Perhaps we should cut the trip short. I'm not feeling myself. The look that passed between them confirmed everything. Panic, quickly masked by concern. But Mom, David protested, we still have the Amalfi Coast to visit. Dreams change, I replied. I'd feel more comfortable going home. When would you want to leave? Vanessa asked. The day after tomorrow. I've already looked into flights. So soon? David asked, alarmed. That's going to be expensive. Money well spent if it means I feel better, I replied, watching his reaction. He couldn't meet my eyes. Of course, Mom. Whatever you need. I received a late-night text from Marcus. Everything's secured. We have enough evidence to proceed legally if you choose to. I'm sorry about all this. The tears I'd been holding back finally came. The next morning, I maintained my facade while observing David and Vanessa. They seemed tense, checking their phones constantly. Any word from the airline? I asked innocently. David's head snapped up. Not yet. I'll check after breakfast. No need. I can handle it myself. Mom, these companies take advantage of older customers, he said with forced patience. I'm perfectly capable of making a phone call, David. Vanessa jumped in. Madeline, he's just trying to help. You always say how confusing these things are. Do I? I asked. I don't recall saying that. An uncomfortable silence fell. I decided to push further. I received an odd call from the bank yesterday. I mentioned casually. David nearly choked. What? Why would they call you here in Italy? Something about unusual account activity. I told them I'd deal with it when we get home. Vanessa's knuckles whitened. That's strange. Maybe it's just a routine check. Perhaps, I agreed. Or maybe someone's been accessing my accounts without authorization. The look between them was unmistakable. Pure panic. David forced a laugh. Mom, that's ridiculous. Who would do that? I can't imagine, I replied, meeting his gaze. After breakfast, I met with Judith and her friend Anthony, a former police detective. What would you recommend I do now? I asked. Document everything. Don't tip your hand until you're safely home, he advised. When I returned to our suite, I found David and Vanessa in a whispered conversation that stopped when they saw me. Everything okay? I asked. Fine, David said quickly. Just discussing travel changes. I sat down across from them. There's something important we need to discuss. Vanessa stood up. I should give you two privacy. No, I said firmly. This concerns you too. The color drained from David's face. Mom, what's going on? I know what you've been doing, I said steadily. I know about the unauthorized transfers, the fake advisor, the power of attorney, all of it. David attempted to look confused. Mom, I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. I've seen the evidence. Marcus sent me everything. Marcus, Vanessa hissed. Eleanor's son? What does he have to do with anything? He's been monitoring my accounts. He noticed the suspicious activity months ago. David's expression softened. Mom, if there have been transfers, they were ones you authorized. Remember? For the house renovations? Vanessa's medical bills? Those were small amounts, I countered. Not hundreds of thousands. And certainly not the portfolio transfer to the Cayman Islands scheduled for today. Their shocked expressions confirmed they hadn't expected me to discover that. We were just helping manage your money, Vanessa tried. By stealing it, by isolating me from my friends, by bringing me to Italy to clean out my accounts. David's expression hardened. You don't need all that money, Mom. We have our whole lives ahead of us. So that justifies theft? I asked incredulously. It's not theft, Vanessa insisted. We're family. We deserve that money more than your charities. The charities in my will? You read my private will? David looked ashamed briefly. We were planning for our future. Be reasonable, he argued condescendingly. You're getting older. This arrangement would benefit everyone. Arrangement? I repeated. You mean your systematic fraud? David suddenly changed tactics, tears filling his eyes. Mom, I'm sorry. We got in over our heads with debt. We were desperate. For a moment, I wavered. This was my son. But then I remembered the evidence. Save your apologies, I said coldly. I've already frozen all my accounts and contacted authorities. What you've done is criminal. You wouldn't press charges against your own son, David said uncertainly. Watch me, I replied. I'm checking into a different hotel. Don't contact me. As I moved to leave, David grabbed my arm. Mom, please! We can work this out! Let go of me right now or I'll call hotel security. You're making a mistake, Vanessa warned. No one will believe you. They'll think you're just a confused old woman. I smiled at her. I have documentation of everything, including this conversation, which I've been recording. Their faces showed the exact moment they realized they'd lost. Returning to the States was a blur of legal consultations and emotional processing. The evidence Marcus had collected, combined with my recorded conversation in Italy, provided a solid case against David and Vanessa. The prosecutor believes they could face serious charges, Patricia explained as we sat in her home office. Wire fraud, elder financial abuse, identity theft, potentially years in prison. I never wanted this, I admitted. All I wanted was to be a good mother. And you were, Patricia insisted. Their choices aren't your failure, Maddie. A week after returning, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mom? Please don't hang up. David's voice sounded desperate. I have nothing to say to you, I replied, my hand shaking. Just listen, please, he begged. Vanessa and I have separated. This was all her idea. She pushed me into it. I never wanted to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. So now you're blaming your wife? The bank records show you were taking money long before you met Vanessa. Silence on the other end, then, I can pay it back. All of it. Just drop the charges. With what money, David? My money. I made some mistakes, he admitted. Terrible mistakes. But I'm your son. Doesn't that count for anything? The question hung in the air between us. Once, it would have counted for everything. It counted for everything, I said quietly. That's why this hurts so much. Mom, please, he sobbed. I'll lose everything. I almost did, I reminded him. By your hand. After hanging up, I sat with Patricia and Marcus at her dining table, discussing next steps. The prosecutor offered a plea deal, Marcus informed me. They'll serve some time, but not the maximum. They'll have to make restitution. And if I wanted to drop the charges? I asked. Patricia placed her hand over mine. That's your decision, Maddie. But consider what happens afterward. Without consequences, what's to stop them from trying again? 2 months later, I sat in a courtroom watching David and Vanessa accept their plea deals. 5 years probation, 2 years home confinement, full restitution, and felony records. They avoided prison time, largely due to my request for leniency. As they left the courtroom, David approached me. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for asking them to keep us out of prison." "I didn't do it for you," I replied. "I did it because I couldn't bear the thought of visiting my son in prison." "Can we ever fix this?" he asked, his eyes pleading. "Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not just my son, but the man who had meticulously planned to destroy my financial security in my golden years. "No," I said finally. "Some things can't be fixed, David. This is one of them." "But we're family," he insisted. "Family doesn't steal from family," I replied. "You and Vanessa made your choices. Now I'm making mine." That evening, I sat with Judith, Patricia, and Marcus on Patricia's porch, watching the sunset. "What will you do now?" Judith asked. "Live," I said simply. "Travel, for real this time. Donate to causes I care about. Spend time with the people who actually love me." "To new beginnings," Patricia toasted, raising her glass. "And to Eleanor," Marcus added, "who's still looking out for you even now." I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. You know what the hardest part is? Accepting that the relationship I thought I had with David never actually existed? "Not entirely," Judith suggested gently. "The love you gave was real. His betrayal doesn't negate that." "Perhaps," I conceded. "But it does change everything going forward." As the stars began to appear, I thought about the trip to Italy that had changed my life. Not in the way I'd imagined, but perhaps in the way I needed. I had lost a son but found my strength. I had faced betrayal but discovered true friendship. What would you do if someone you loved betrayed you so completely? Would you find the strength to hold them accountable? Or would you choose forgiveness? The answer might reveal more about you than you realize.